Good afternoon from sacred space at Titania's realm. I'm laughing because I just popped a chocolate eclair into my mouth and I stored them in this jar that I have actually washed. It shouldn't still be fragrant, of whole dill pickles. And the fragrance from the dill pickles is somehow soaked into the chocolate eclair. So it was a very unusual flavour sensation in my mouth. It was like a party going on in my mouth of some kind of Polish or Serbian or Russian a maniac mixed with chocolate and toffee. It's very odd. It's very odd. So I'm very amused with this stupid things that you do and you don't realise that was going to happen. I definitely washed the jar, but yeah, you can still smell the dill. It's very fragrant. So here we are, sucking on a chocolate dill pickle flavoured eclair. And well, it could be worse, couldn't it? It could have been something really gross. So I mean, like shellfish or something. Then I really would be. I wouldn't be laughing. I'd be vomiting, throwing it as a fit. So it's not so bad, but it's kind of hilarious at the same time. Anyway, Mama T and stupid things she does to herself are quite comical at times, unwittingly and undeservedly at times. I'm getting a bit more chocolate and toffee flavour now, so we survived the shock of the unexpected flavour, magic, delight, horror. My weird neighbour just driving off. He's so nuts. He used to be a nice man. I don't know what happened to him. Well, actually, I do know what happened to him, and it's a great shame because, as I say, he used to be a nice person. Anyway, let it go, let it go. So today is the 23rd of March, 2025, and the time is 12:17 p.m. And welcome to Sacred Space at Titania's realm, where anything can happen, including dill and pickle flavoured chocolate eclairs. Let it go, let it go. Okay, I will when I finish my chocolate. Mama T, multitasking is a thing. Eating while I talk, walking while I talk, working while I'm eating and talking and walking at the same time. Psychedelic dreaming without the psychedelics because I don't do drugs, but always in the other worlds. Shamanic journeying, dancing wildly with a fan in one hand and a glass of Jack Daniels and Coke in the other, gyrating myself into the other worlds and back again. That's multitasking, while simultaneously remaining hyper-vigilant mentally about everything that's going on in the club and everyone around me. Although sometimes I actually relax and enjoy myself. Sometimes. I had a wonderful time on Friday night. A wonderful time. And I've had wilder and more ebullient and crazier and wilder times, but it was a good night all told. And I'm getting better, I think. Feeling a bit better. So let us continue reading the next few chapters. Tales of travelling the middle world. And here's another interesting iconography or drawing or sort of looks a bit like a woman and a stingray at the same time, flying over a mountain that has pine trees on it. Interesting. But here's the description, so I was quite a bit wrong. Like a blazing meteor, Nauya flew high across the sky, his course set for the land of the great tides. Down below, the pack ice extended far over the horizon from the flight of the shaman. Now I've got eclairs stuck on my gums. Probably shouldn't read stories and suck on eclairs at the same time because they get into places that shouldn't really be, but got it. Mama tease a child. I'm still a child and still do childlike things at times. Right. Still flavoured fucking chocolate eclairs. The flight of the shaman. Are we ready, people of Earth? Here we go. Take a deep breath. And let us begin. In times past, there lived in the north a shaman named Nauya. One day, what could be Nauja, spelt with a J, but in Eastern Europe and German, J's are often pronounced Y. So I'll go with that. People of Earth. Named Nauya. Naya in German we would say. Naya as in, oh wow. Anyway, here we go. Mama T's cooking on gas and dill pickle flavoured chocolate eclairs. One day now, I know, I'm relentless. If I applied myself like that to my love life, I'd be dangerous. I'd also be annoying. No one would ever love me again. One day, it's partially true. One day, Nauja let word go around that he wanted to shamanize in order to fly to the land of the great tides. I have a love in my life, platonic, who's also a bit relentless. I won't say because I don't want to, create disturbances in the field, but let's just say the timelines are very interesting. And I don't know why, because it's kind of absurdist since there's no real communication and real world applications, but this one-dimensional little trick is preying on me. Just makes me happy. Oh, isn't that sad? Given I have to compete with all his other women and, it's ridiculous. But anyway, I'm just amused by it all, people of Earth. This is how you know when you really love someone, when even their naughty little games and tricks are quite amusing indeed. Last person to think of at night, first person to think of when they awaken, though, speaks volumes, just say. The desire is there even if by necessity it remains unrequited. Well, not unrequited in that we don't love each other, but just the circumstance is not okay. So, but I'm enjoying the sweetness. I am. I'm enjoying because I'm a woman on my own and passionate and wild and carefree, but who doesn't love being loved? It's gorgeous. Fucking gorgeous. I know. Anyway. And if it's a trick that they're playing, it'll blow back on them one day, because what will they do when Mama T gets bored of being played and moves on? I don't think it's a trick though, I've decided today, because I saw what happened on Friday night, how much love was surrounding me, and had another male acquaintance chatting to me and being very kind, actually, lovely man, very lovely man to me. Nothing romantic, because he's got a partner too, new love, beautiful Russian woman. Must like Slavic looking women, because he hung around me Friday night, and chatted and in a roundabout way, because he knows I'm Mama T and I'm a shaman and got a lot of life experience. He was dropping some little hints and in a roundabout way asking for advice without actually asking, you understand. And I don't like to give too much opinions or impose my will on other people, because everyone has their own path and their own journey, and especially when it comes to love affairs, you have to make your own mistakes sometimes. 1,000 people can pull you back from the fucking edge of the abyss and pull you back and go, don't go there, guy friend, or don't go there, girlfriend. But you go there because it's the experience you had to have to make you grow, am I right? I did say to this gentleman friend that he mentioned his girlfriend wants him to move in with her, and they've been together 6 months, so it's a reasonable amount of time. I said, 6 months? It's a bit early. In my opinion. It's only my opinion. Anyway, he kind of looked at me a bit. Could see almost the gnosis and kind of a sense of relief, because probably deep down he's thinking that too. Then he mentioned she's very expensive, but it's okay because he could afford it. And I looked at him again. So quite bluntly, in my classic shamanic style, which is blunt and to the point and factual, I said, nothing wrong with having exquisite taste. I have a very opulent taste myself. I said, but you don't want to get taken for a row. Then he looked at me again. So there were 2 warnings that poured out of my mouth quite automatically, having walked the walk of people who were users and parasites and psychopathic and sadistic and life-threatening and dangerous and bludgers, and did I mention users and parasites who then went on to try to kill me? I know something about this. If someone shows you 6 months into the relationship that they're a bit graspy and greedy and demand that you satisfy their most expensive tastes, there's your red flag, and it's up to you if you pay attention to it or if you choose to close your eyes and get exploited. Anyway, I've got no interest in this man romantically, so I'm not saying these things to him to hedge my bets that I might have him one day, and because I don't want to be exploited either, and I don't want to be led up a garden path, and I don't want to be deceived and lied to, and I don't want to be cheated on. I don't want to be second best to some other woman, wife, girlfriend, partner, other lover. I don't want to be played for a fool. I don't want to be destroyed by a man ever again. There was a lot of that. So when a man comes to me and asks for my advice, I'm speaking from a place of life experience and wisdom. And I'm a bit worried about that man, because he's been a very kind man to me. Very kind. And I wish to see people be happy with partners who are good and kind and honouring of them and respectful and enhance their life and build their life up to something wonderful rather than potentially drag them into the abyss from which sometimes we don't always come back out completely unscathed, or sometimes we come out completely altered and can never love or trust and love again. I've been there, got the t-shirt too. Anyway, but I did observe that my wonderful friend was watching very carefully and kind of observing. He probably thought that I was, flirting, or I don't know what he thought actually. It doesn't matter what he thought. My conscience is clear. I'm merely hanging out with a friend, some acquaintance who asked me for a bit of advice. Kind of subtle ways. Sweet, really. Mama T's never subtle. She's like a brick shit house. Don't ask me for advice unless you want to hear the cold, hard, blunt truth. If I think something's a good prospect or good for you, I'll tell you that too. I'm not negative. But those were two clues. She's very expensive, but I can afford it. And what else did he say? She's not like our culture because she comes from Siberia of all places, very cold place. Russian people are wonderful, passionate people, they're lyrical and poetic and intelligent and creative, but they don't think like, those of us with English, Irish, Scottish, Anglo-Saxon type mentality. And so there'll be a bit of a clash of culture there as well. But that's not necessarily a problem. That can be quite stimulating and life-enhancing. But the problems were the wanting him to move into suburbia, and then he would be also taking on her two young children, which is a big ask. But he did say he knew that when he met her and it wasn't a problem. So, see, he's heartfelt and he's loving and he's willing to take on someone else's babies and raise them. That's also an immense act of love on the part of a man. So I wish them both well and happiness in their future and joy and delight. I just hope she's not a money-grubbing, gold-digging, using parasite that just wants to feather her nest and take advantage. See, I worry about things. I worry about other people's stuff sometimes, just as much as my own, and I have to sometimes detach from it because it's not actually it's not my monkey, not my circus, which is a Polish saying. Anyway, I have got rid of the taste of dill pickle, which you can't get much more Polish or Russian than dill pickle, and the taste of chocolate and caramel, and I'll sip my tea and carry on reading the story, shall I? Delightful. I have also observed on some of my videos that were perfectly fine, by the way, that the YouTube algorithms or AI bots are holding back my videos and they're not being viewed. One even says no viewers, and I myself have viewed it at least 3 times, so it should at least register at least 1 or 2 views that were me. So I'm a bit concerned about that, but there's nothing I can do. But I'm just letting you know some of my videos are not reaching my audience, which is a way of silencing and shadow banning me yet again. I wonder what they're doing that for again. So I don't know, sometimes I think I should just leave this platform and make my videos somewhere else. I mean, I don't really say anything all that controversial anymore. I mean, I'm still and always have been anti the COVID epoch and regime, but I haven't said anything, anything more problematic than that, apart from exist and be defiant and say hell no a lot. Anyway, let us continue with the story, because how many videos have I actually got up on YouTube? I've been on here since 2009, by the way. It's a long time, and there was a lot of toxicity during that previous 5 years when I did actually think seriously many times about leaving. 1,000 videos. Right. So and currently have 123 subscribers, which is also quite remarkable, given I very rarely ask people to subscribe or like my videos, because they're my personal journaling and reading stories and telling my own stories and describing my own experiences and my own feelings. And it's very personal. It's like stepping inside to my world. You're literally in my videos inside my living room with me, and it's deeply personal, so I don't demand of anyone to subscribe or support me in any way, but it's lovely that 123 of you people out in YouTube land and out on planet Earth somewhere have chosen to support me in that way, so gratitude to you. And obviously you're getting some kind of experience out of looking at my videos. I don't know what, because I meander around a bit and go with the flow and take my sweet time. Anyway, here we go. Naya was famous as a mighty shaman, so it was no surprise that many people from all the dwelling places in the neighbourhood flocked together to experience his magic spell. Soon his house to the last corner was filled with guests. Now Naya declared that he needed help to prepare him for the spell. The helpers tied the shaman's arms upon his back and his head between his knees. Then from behind him they shoved blackbird wings under his armpits. Having tied him up, they pushed him over. He lay on his side and was not able to sit up by himself. They put his drum beside him, like this. This was gifted me by my friend Belinda Daniel, who runs the Western Drumming Circle. Isn't it lovely? And of course, for my little shamanic trance drumming sessions that I do purely for myself, because they are very egocentric and not really suitable for sharing with my community, I use my djembe drum that was gifted to me by my friend Lynn Sloan for my birthday a few years back. So Mama T, aka the Tanya, aka Psychedelic Dreamer, is very blessed and spoilt lavishly indeed. All the lamps were extinguished, and there was a tense silence in the air. Then the drum began moving on its own. To and fro it rocked until it was standing on its handle. It started to drone heavily and floated 3 times around Naya's shoulders. This was a sign that Naya obtained absolute knowledge, and he was able to sit up by himself. Suddenly, the drum jumped at Naya's big left toe, and attached its handle there with a firm grip. Rock solid it stood there, as if the handle and toe had been glued together. Again the drum began droning ominously, its drum head shuddering. Suddenly it moved forward as if seized by a giant force, while vehemently hissing and rustling, it took Nauja high into the air, all the way through the smoke hole and 3 times around the house. He sang in complete ecstasy, still attached to the drum. Nauja flew over the house surrounded by a shimmering rain of sparks. With a magical drone, the drum returned through the smoke outlet to its place. I'm smiling because I'm thinking about my friends in the bands and how we raise energy together, and by the 3rd set my friend is singing so joyously and powerfully, and my other friend is dancing with his bass guitar, and my other friend is banging on those drums and cymbals, and then they look at me and we all kind of burst out laughing because we're feeding each other the energy, building this up. As I said yesterday, even Kelly was watching, feeding energy back. You know, it was just gorgeous. It's just gorgeous. Music and dancing and creativity and positive, generative energy that heals and enlivens and gives us all extra strength in these dark times. So potent and so valuable and so blessed. To you all, my wonderful musician and singing friends and fellow dancers, and to the bar staff and management and security that create the atmosphere where we're safe to do so, by the way. You all contribute enormously, and I love you all. Mama T's still a little bit high, and it's Sunday. Should be settling down a bit now. Oh, I almost went dancing last night to support my friends in Ramjet, but I was just too tired. It expended too much of my personal energy, and plus I've been doing a lot of intense writing each morning for Facebook and Instagram, so that's also an outpouring of energy as well. So, plus I made those wonderful earrings. Intense, babies, intense. Right. He sang, I'll repeat that line. He sang in complete ecstasy, still attached to the drum. Ecstasy. Don't need drugs, people. You just need to commit to your art or your music or your whatever it is that sparks joy in your life. That becomes your drug. Your joy, your soul expression, your creativity, your gift from the gods, to and from the gods, by the way. And now I flew, I haven't read that. Sorry. Now flew over the house, surrounded by a shimmering rain of sparks. With a magical drone, the drum returned through the smoke outlet to its place. Like a blazing meteor, Nauja flew high across the sky, his course set for the land of the great tides, so he's out of body. Down below, the pack ice extended far over the horizon, but Nauja was not alone on his flight. 5 of his spirit guides accompanied him, It was an odd sight to see the team flying through the sky at whirlwind speed. The only one tied up was Naya. His guides had just placed their arms under the hollow of their knees. It's an interesting way to fly. You're rolling, wouldn't you? Rolling forwards through the air, maybe. You're sitting like an astronaut in a cockpit, crunched up. Something to think about there. When the flyers wanted to speed up, they just screamed. And the louder they screamed, the faster they hurried on. Don't tell my parents that. That would have been just another excuse for their constant fucking screaming. And they didn't move any faster except to their own declension, ultimate separation, divorce. So there was that. Reserve your screams for things that are really important to scream at, like some terrible shock or fright or, I don't know, a roller coaster ride or something. Reserve your primal screaming for something really powerful and really worth emanating into this world, babies. It was obvious they had fun in this daredevil flying race. They went so fast that the great fjords below looked like thin tendons. They now neared the big mountains. Excuse me. One big mountain, the biggest of them all, clearly stood out in many coloured stripes. Such a shitty, sullen grey day this morning. I wrote about it, but I said the sun was behind it. Now we have lovely sunshine, but lots of cumulus clouds, so we're going to get more rain later. But it's turned out to be a lovely day. See? You never know what to expect. Life is like a box of chocolates. Pardon me. Naya signalled his spirit guides to land here. He asked, which direction should we take from here? None of them had ever been in the land of the great tides. They only had heard about it. So there they were standing on the mountain top and did not have a clue in which direction they should fly on. There was a quarrel among the spirits, and they all addressed the one who they knew was the most resourceful. Dear goddess. Ardiak. Naya turned to Ardiak and asked, don't you know where the dwelling place lies in the land of the great tides? But Ardiak sadly shook his head, listening to all the little bones crunching in my neck as I did that. It's rather musical. My friend Scotty, if he watches my videos, will be yelling out, I told you not to mush the 360 degrees, Tanya. I told you not to. But Scotty, the damage was done many years ago, so why worry? What me worry? It's too late now to worry about the soul neck. But it's sweet that he worried about it. Very sweet. Containing the Tanya in her greatest triumphant wildness, fierceness and joy. And I did it for a long time too. I didn't want to damage whoever his manager or the agent is and upset them. Didn't want to ruin their badge. So very protective, believe it or not. Very protective. I love my bands. I want them successful. I want them to have all their favourite gigs back. I want them to live their best lives, and I want to be part of it, even in my small way of contributing every now and then. Rock up to the Brooklyn Standard or other venues. Anyway, until I get too old to dance, that is. There is that. But Ardiak sadly shook his head. Next, Naia asked, if none of us knows where that is, we might as well fly back right away. But Ardiak objected. Naia, if we turn back now, the next time we will not be able to get any further. The other spirit guides became still more impatient and urged Ardiak to come to a decision. Nearly said sensation, I don't know why. Odd, isn't it? I was probably seeing the C and the zhin, just made something up. Then Ardiak pointed downward to the foot of the mountain. Look down there. There they saw another spirit guide with gigantic ears. He had those ears pointed up while listening. Now he turned his left ear as if he had heard something. The other spirit guides knew that if he was listening with his left ear, it meant they should return home. But suddenly the spirit clapped down his left ear, and his right ear began searching the horizon. Then the spirit finally made moves to stand up. Now they saw a rain of sparks flashing from his ears, sparks that looked like moon reflections on the sea. Pretty. Naia and his spirit guides shouted with joy, stretched and flapped their arms like birds and threw themselves into the air, screaming loudly. Can you take Gisela and David with you, please? Away with you all. They flew after the agile spirit with the big ears. For a long time they flew, until they saw the lit windows of a dwelling place. All of them conferred whether they should visit the place, but they flew by. Soon after, another dwelling place came in sight, but they left that one behind without stopping. When, upon the third time, they spotted a lighted dwelling place, the leading spirit slowed down and prepared for landing. Then they all knew they had arrived at their target. They came down near the house, and Naia immediately began searching this house in the land of the great tides. It was a very large one, with 4 windows made of bow skin. Bow, B-O-W-E-L skin. Whose bows, I dread to think? Probably whales. Must be something they make from whales. I'm hoping. One for all 4 wind directions. It bristled with people inside, and there were lots of plank beds to sleep on. Over each bed shone a light. These lighted beds were meant for the shamans. In front of those shaman beds hung rolled up sealskins on hooks. Those were let down like curtains when the shamans of the lands of the great tides began their incantations. Inuit myth. Over the last few decades, the Arctic peoples, who were firmly called Eskimos, have been trying to reformulate their identity. The name Eskimo, meaning raw meat eater, derives from the language of the Algonquin tribe. Contemporary indigenous Arctic people are classified on the basis of their language similarities among Inuit and Aleuts tribes. The people of the Canadian polar region call themselves Inuit. Those of the Alaskan Arctic call themselves Inupiat. In Greenland, the people are named Inupiaq, and the Labrador peoples call themselves Sikumiut. As diverse as the languages are among the Arctic people, so are their names for shaman. Angakog, Katalik, Tonralik, Afatkuk, Tunbaktalik. One could become a shaman as chosen by the spirits or by the Sila, the soul of the universe. Sila, the soul of the universe, has such a beautiful and friendly voice, even the children are not afraid of her. She says, "Have no fear for the universe." Statement from Najagneg, Inuit shaman to Knud Rasmussen. The story goes that the most competent Inuit shamans were able to fly, tied up, over the earth to the moon and further into space. Archaeological finds and language similarities suggest that the Arctic people wandered over the Bering Strait to the Arctic part of North America. The eldest archaeological finds stem from about 2000 BC. In Greenland, the primal population has been thoroughly mixed with the Europeans. It is assumed Norwegian sailing boats had reached Greenland as early as AD 800. About the middle of the 18th century, the Europeans began recording the old myths and fairy tales of the indigenous population, mainly by the Danish Hans and Paul Egede and Knut Rasmussen. The next story is called Tales of Travelling in the Upper World. This time, the pictogram last time was going down to the underworld, this time it's going up to the upper world. Beneath the white sky, over the white cloud, beneath the blue sky, above the blue cloud, rise up to the sky, bird. Incantation of a shaman of the Kam from the Altai Mountains during the preparation of his journey to the upper world. From Mircea Eliade, Shamanism, Ancient Techniques of Ecstasy. Princeton University Press, 1964. I'll just see how long this story is because it's a series of little short stories. Right, we're fine. Manatee has time, lots of time. It's getting a little bit cold now. So, hot cold, hot cold, hot cold, hot, 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 hot. Cold, 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 cold. Turn it off for a while. turn it off. Right. About the man who flew to the upper world. In the vast tundra, in a felt tent, there once lived a man who was a real gent. Nobody was as rich as he. His reindeer herds were so numerous that, in a manner of speaking, you could walk all the way to the sea over their backs. That's a lot of reindeer. His name was Gidala, which means dragonfly. And he actually had the characteristics of a dragonfly. He was not satisfied with what he had, and neither with the place he was living. He had more than enough of living in the middle world. He much rather wanted to live in the upper world. Be careful what you ask for, Gidala. Just saying. He had never been there, but he had heard about it. So, one morning he got up and went looking for the flying one. He found him somewhere in the middle of nowhere, alone in the tundra, in front of his tent. He presented him his request. The flying one was not surprised at this and said, "Leave and see to it that you have enough provisions, clothing and firewood. It should be enough to last for 3 years." Gidala ordered his man to accumulate a big supply of food, clothing and firewood. The flying one sat down on a specific spot. We do like our spots, we shamans, creatures of habit. Odd, isn't it? It's probably where the energy is comfortable for us or resonates with us, or where we feel safe to go in and out of our body, minds and spirits, consciously or unconsciously at times. Anyway, have you ever seen a pussycat circle round and round, round and round and round circles before curling himself up into a little ball, being quite serene and comfortable? It's a bit like that. It's how it kind of feels energetically anyway. Right. The flying one, because we're stuck in physical bodies, aren't we? We've got to work with it, not against it. It can be laborious at times, by the way. Very fucking laborious, especially when we're not all that well, which for most shamans is most of the time, because we're not created like other mortals. Had too many life experiences and been vomited back by the gods, so we have issues. It is what it is. Just normal mainstream people will never wrap their heads around it. That's why we mostly, not all, but many of us end up alone. I've been alone for 30 fucking years, so I know something about this. That's why I crave my community and my true love of partnership and family created by like-minded souls who love me and accept me the way I am in all my weird ways. Psychedelic dream of sighs. But she's happy because I can see it starting to manifest. All my dreams becoming reality. But it must be the right reality, with harm to none and competition with none. Completely meant for me, blessed and protected and with deep love and reverence. At all times, morning, noon and night, in the space-time continuum here in 3D reality. It's crazy. crazy inverted paradigm. Dear Goddess, who decides at such a late stage of her life to try and manifest this when really it's dreaming an almost impossible dream? But my shaman friend told me, he said, you will find your niche and you and your true love will find a way to be together. So it'll just be a matter of working out who my true love is and who really wants to be with me. It's that simple and that difficult. Going to eat a grape to celebrate my almost 60th. The grapes of no longer living in wrath and fear and atrophy and treachery and debasement, but true, abiding, loyal, faithful love for me, and devoted and honouring and kind and sweet and romantic and passionate and supportive and generous, and my intimate partner. The first and last love of my life, a man who doesn't want to kill me, rape me or destroy me, but upholds me, values, cherishes, adores, and is a wonderful lover and wants to see me thrive and succeed and be with my people, whoever my people are, because they also will have to choose me of their own heart, mind, body, spirits and free will. My people, my like-minded, loving people, safe, cared for, genuine and authentic, honouring. What do I bring to the table? Life experience, intellect, common sense, messages from the other worlds that could have saved many of you had you only paid attention. Dear Goddess, dear Goddess. But it's incumbent on each of us as souls to reverse that damage and reclaim our power. Shuck off the poison of our generation. Shuck it the fuck off. Never let the bastards grind us down and remain free and wild and triumphant in our own earthly mortal bodies, minds, spirits and souls, and to cleave to each other loyally and faithfully with deep trust that we have each other's backs. Because there's people out there, the 1%ers that wanted us all dead so they could have this planet all for themselves. And they're worse than any reptilian or invasive alien type race, although I wonder if there was an element of that behind it too, to be honest. So as mere mortals, flesh, heart, sinew, mind, our work is to love each other so sublimely and sacredly that we not only merely survive but thrive. Humans. We're worth fighting for, people of Earth. We are. We're more powerful than we were ever taught. We only use 10% of our brain capacity. They've dulled us down to the point where we probably even use a lot less than that. Terrifying fucking thought. So remember who you are and why you came here. as souls, I mean. Why are we here? To co-create a beautiful life and a beautiful world. One day at a time, one breath at a time, one moment at a time. As the days go by, the weeks, the months, the decades, the eons, the onus is on us. Think of your progeny. Those of you who have progeny. Gidala, oh, I read that. The flying one sat down on a specific spot, and it was there that Gidala had the men build a cabin. He made them build it so big that all the supplies, the flying one and Gidala, fit comfortably in the cabin. They brought in all the supplies, and then Gidala entered the cabin. When Gidala was inside, the flying one immediately went flying. The flying one and Gidala flew around for a long time with their cabin. One day, the flying one said, "Now we have arrived," and they came to a halt. Gidala was very glad they were finally there. He jumped out of the cabin and looked around, but there was nothing and nobody to see except for a ladder leading upwards. The flying one said, "Now climb this ladder." Gidala climbed until he came to a tiny hatch. He climbed through the hole, and beyond that there was nothing but deep darkness. But the further he climbed, the lighter it became. Gidala climbed out, looked around and was delighted. "Now I have arrived." He caught sight of a tent with a plume of smoke. Before the tent sat a man, a woman, and a girl who lived there. Got a craving for a cigar right now. It's odd, isn't it? Oh well, the spirits want me to smoke a cigar. I will smoke a cigar. Gidala approached the family and asked permission to enter their tent. They answered, excuse me, now my nose is itchy. They answered, "The fire has crackled." Gidala was hungry because since breakfast he did not have anything to eat, and the way up had been a long one. He could see a few pieces of meat on a wooden plate inside the tent, so he asked if he was allowed to eat some of the meat. Once again the people said, "The fire has crackled." Gidala was puzzled. He thought, perhaps these people do not even see me. So he took some of the meat and stuffed it in his mouth. When he was satisfied, his mood became audacious, and he tickled the young woman's bosom. This made the girl lose her mind. Once again, the author spelt that as loose. Oh, well, she's German. That's the only mistake she makes with her English. Interesting. Her father went to fetch the shaman. When the night came, the shaman started his shaman magic. He drummed and summoned the spirits. But no matter how much he sang and drummed, he was not able to perceive the cause of her illness. She only became more ill. Then the father harnessed his reindeer and called for the upper shaman. When the upper shaman entered the tent, he saw Gidala and pointed at him and said, "This one here has caused the illness." Groping a young girl's breast is a violation and dishonour. I'm with her on that one too. Hate that. When night fell, unless it's consensual during a loving sexual act, that's okay, but some fucking random weirdo walks into your house and grabs you. Don't even go there with me, guy friends. It's awful beyond belief. When night fell, the father urged the upper shaman to begin his magic, but the shaman did not. He said, "Why should I start doing magic for things that are obvious?" And he asked Gidala, "From where do you come?" "I have come from the middle world," Gidala said. Then the upper shaman spoke. "It is better you should return to your world." "But I have forgotten how I came here." "I will guide you," said the shaman. They both went out of the tent and walked until they came to the small hole. Just realised my bra's on display. "Now go through the hole again, back to your world," said the shaman. Gidala went back through the hole, reached the cabin where the flying one was sitting, waiting for him. Gidala told him, "Now fly me back to my tent." And there they flew again, and flew for a long time. One day the flying one said, "We have arrived." Gidala was very happy he was back again. He jumped out of the cabin and went to his tent. He had been gone for a very long time, but one family member was still alive, so he told his family member about his trip to the upper world. It's an interesting thing about time, like when you go out into space. There's old myths about people coming back from space and thinking they'd only been gone a day and they'd actually been gone 1,000 years. Time is not the same in the different worlds between upper and lower and our world. It's malleable, very malleable. Anyway, that story is from Siberia, people of the Yakuts. Be back just a moment. My hair's dry, nearly want to run a brush through it. Won't be long. I need a drink of water too. I'll get that while I'm out there. Right, let us continue. About the man who went searching for his missing wife. Once there happened peculiar things in the land of the Ainu, but the most peculiar thing happened to someone named Penri, who went searching for his missing wife. Early in the morning she had gone into the forest to gather kindling, and by the end of the day she had not returned home. And the next day and the following day she did not return. Penri was very worried, so he prepared himself to look for his missing wife. Anxiously, he wandered through mountains and valleys, dense woods, and along the seaside. His search was in vain. Finally, he drifted across a vast plain, in the centre of which grew a big old oak tree. Penri went to the tree, saw to his surprise that the tree was hollow and looked like a house. An old, apparently friendly man sat there. With grey hair and a long grey beard. Sorry, I'm picking up vibes and it's distracting. Let me just take a moment. Right. His garment was made of bird's feathers, and on his head he wore a crown of leaves. Penri respectfully bowed before the old man. The latter said to him, "Welcome, Penri. I am the spirit of the oak tree, and know about your sadness over the loss of your wife. I have seen how you searched everywhere, filled with love and solicitude. Come and rest here with me for a while. Smoke a pipe with me and have a drink of water." Going to do that, not a pipe, but wanting someone with me is wanting a cigar, so we will honour that desire for whatever reason. So I think where my handbag is, my crossover bag is. I don't very often get asked by the spirits to smoke because they know it's not actually all that good for me, and I'm actually a non-smoker. But when they do ask for that offering, I like to oblige them. So I'm picking up a lot of energy actually, and it's powerful. It's very loving and potent, but sometimes it's a little bit too much for my nervous system, so it won't hurt to have a cigar and just quell things down a little bit. honour of the Holy One in all manifestations, bestowing upon us great love, peace, harmonic resonance, creativity, joy, protection, guidance from the upper and lower worlds. Transmuted and transmogrified through body, mind, spirit, soul. Blessed be. Amen Vasila. Gratefully, Penry sat down with the old man, smoked a pipe with him, and drank from the clear spring water. Isn't it interesting that I was urged to go and get water before I got to this part of the story? It's almost like they're wanting me to resonate and act out the story at the same time frame. It's odd. Seen it a lot, those synchronicities, since I've been reading these stories. No accidents in the multiverse, people of Earth. None. Then the tree spirit told him, "You will retrieve your wife if you do as I say. Take this gold horse now, climb on its back and fly to the city in the sky. There you just ride through the city and sing as loud as you can." Why did I smile just then, people of Earth? Because Papa Legba is with me. He loves a cigar. To Papa, my protector, one of my many protectors actually. It's a shame we've had to have so much protection in this life just to barely fucking survive, man. It's ridiculous. He says to me, "Now I want you to dance." I can't, Papa, I'm in the middle of a story. I'm dancing in my chair though. For you, Papa, always for you. Guardian and protector of the underworld. Right, the true love is coming, he says. Look, the other day it was Davidson. I believe you over Davidson though, since he was an evil entity in our experiential awareness when he was alive. There you just ride through the city and sing as loud as you can. Never mind what happens. Do not interfere and only do as I tell you. The old man called for the golden horse. Penry mounted and flew on the horse of pure gold high into the sky. Higher and higher they flew, way above the world of people, to the highest place in the sky, where it is radiant blue. There Penry saw a city that looked like the cities in the human world. Instead of ordinary people, here lived the heaven people. Penry rode on the golden horse through the city, singing out loud day after day. The heaven people stared at him as if he was crazy. Many covered their ears. Many ran into their houses and hid there when he appeared on the scene, because they could not bear to listen to his horrible singing. Buruchu Haba'a Emet, in his own sweet time, of his own free will, O Lord my God, ruler of the universe. No pressure, no competition, no harm, no foul, only true and deep honouring love. And so it must mote be. Mamatu has spoken. To the ears of the heaven people, who were used to only heavenly music, the songs from the world of ordinary people sounded ugly and unbearable. This appalling singing, oh, that just hit the spot, babies, right here in my chest. Oh, yes, gaga. This appalling singing had also reached the sensitive ears of the Heaven King. The king had Penry come to him and promised to help him find his wife. If only Penry would stop this horrible singing. A man from earth was to obey a Heaven King. So Penry flew back to earth on the golden horse, directly to the old oak tree. Right, that's in honour of Great Spirit and the voodoo god Papa Legba and whoever else felt like a cigar right then. I have heard and I have obeyed. They're telling me, sweat your prayers. I will, next Friday. No, they said, before then. Okay, well, I'll put on music and dance later if you wish me to, my beautiful, bright, blessed ones. He told the old man with the feather gown and the crown of leaves everything that happened to him in the heavenly sky. I have done everything you told me to do, but I still have not found my wife. I get my hair done on Tuesday. I can't wait. People are there. Do you think maybe I should just tell her to let me go completely grey? Look, it's my grey. It's not an ugly grey, is it? It's sort of a metallic grey. It's not quite silvery. Oh, I don't know. I've got to keep my bit of room happening, my bit of sexuality and sensuality, just in case I meet the one day and we have some fabulous, wondrous sex. And got to look a bit appetising. Babies. Oh, the psychedelic dream of dreams. It's wonderful, actually, how I dream. One day I'll be woken up with a passionate kiss meant for me. A real man with real heart, a real mind, and whose body desires. Me and only me, but not creepy or weird, just genuine, authentic, wondrous love. Oh, so romantic. Especially since I'm 60 soon. Should be retiring my boots. But I did retire them. I retired them for 10 fucking years. I can't even wear stiletto boots anymore. Devastating. Still devastated about that. If I had $8,000, remember I was going on in December, early December, wanting those Christian Louboutin boots. $8,000 for a pair of boots. It's an obscenity. But oh, did I lust over those boots. Oh, it got me going for quite some time. Probably got some of you going, watching me crave those boots. Imagine if it came true though. I would have been trotting around and everyone would have gone, oh, she's back. Because I used to wear Doc Martens like that. Oh, did the men used to go wild. They were terrified, but wild. Wildness. Harmless fun, my darlings. Mum would tell you, trotting in and out those boots with their corset and that really tight wiggle skirt I used to wear with it. Oh, baby. Oh, what fun we used to have. You can't take it seriously. But back then, back in those days, I was still a little bit saturated. Just a little bit, you understand. Wasted it on idiots. What a dreadful waste. Those idiots are probably still watching my videos, so, well, you know how little I think of you after the appalling way you treated me. Shivering, you jocks, losers. Seriously, appalling. A real man will treat me like I'm his most valued, gorgeous, magical queen. I shouldn't joke too much about it because I'm seeing faces light up and people looking at me with real, deep, honouring, respectful love. It's a beautiful thing. It's not even a spell either. It just happened. I don't know why. I don't know what I did to make that happen. Don't even wear stilettos anymore. The wiggle skirt I outgrew quite some time ago. Can't get it on now. Do it up. If I lose weight, I can wear it again. Wiggle in and wiggle out. Even at 60, I don't give a fuck. I'll still look fabulous, babies. Wear the stilettos for cameo appearances only, you understand, because I can't walk in them anymore. A few Jack Daniels, I can dance on them for a few hours, but am I crippled the next day? It's not worth it. But all my friends in the bands, if they watch my videos, will be laughing their guts out right now, because they remember when I used to do that. Walk in, walk out. Completely exhausted, but happy. They were a bit happy too. We had fun together. Those were my glory days. No harm and no foul, just living our best lives in some kind of weird kind of communion and anyway, it's quite wonderful. The old man listened to Penry's story, because he's saying he still hasn't found his wife, and said, although you did not find her, now you must learn where she is. An evil demon has taken her to a cave deep beneath the earth. He has put her into an iron, dill pickle, right? Dill fucking pickle, chocolate eclair, mixed with cigar and water and grape, regurgitated. Oh, isn't that sexy? Did you all go a little bit hard, boys? I know I did. Oh, I'm just winding you up. It's a bit fun though. Have a little wind up. It goes nowhere, but we have a little bit of fun. What's my motto, boys? Ask anyone. You've got to have a bit of fun before you die. And then she kept dying and being brought back to life and dying again and brought back to life and dying again and brought back to life. 15 fucking times. It's no wonder I have a breakdown. It's exhausting. But my beautiful life is already here, people of Earth. Been a little bit in denial about it. I've been holding it at bay because I don't want to cause disturbances in the field or cause distress to any of my true beloved friends. I've been holding it in a holding pattern, pushing it back, pulling it in, pushing it out. And the spirits tell me my time is here now. Nothing to be afraid of. Just sit back and let the one who loves me the most, that wants me as his partner, to show me with true heartfelt intentions, in actual words as well as in energy, that I'm his one. Whoever that person ends up being. He has put her in an iron case in order to eat her later when he is hungry for human flesh. That noise you made with your singing in the heavens has distracted him from his hunger. That little bit tasted purely of cigar now. So it's working its way in and out, in and out, in and out. Back in, back out. I know, you have to be a little bit mad to even tolerate me, darlings. My true loves are always very creative. Just a little bit squidgy, you understand? Not too squidgy, because we don't want any violent maniacs in our life ever again. But a little bit quirky and unusual like me. The man, a real man with real heart. Yes. Distracted from his hunger, he just stands there and cannot turn his face away from the heavens. He has completely forgotten everything around him. I will take advantage of the state of affairs. I will quickly go into the earth and liberate your wife from the box while the demon's back is turned. But how I got liberated from my mother and my evil husband, 'twas like being dragged back out of an open air fucking coffin. It was a life experience too, getting free of those monsters. The true spirit did what he had said and soon returned with Penry's lost wife. I like that it was a true spirit that brought her back. I was lying under my tree yesterday afternoon. I took a photo of it, put it up on Instagram as I often do, because I'm quite out, people, very open about my shamanic ways now. Got nothing to be ashamed of and nothing to hide, as everything comes from a source of deep love and honour of the gods, the Holy One and all manifestations. And I take childlike delight and pride in it, you understand. So I took the photo, and often when I lie in that hammock under that particular tree, the tree speaks to me. She wasn't quite speaking to me yesterday. There were just excuse me, slight little murmurations, but I wasn't actually getting a full conversation with her yesterday because I haven't laid under her. It's been about 12 months. It's been a long time since that tree and I communed, but I was lying there and enjoying looking high up into the top of her, the crown of her leaves and foliage, and communing with her, and I could tell that she was happy that I was back communing with her, and so we just sort of lay. I lay and she stood quietly communing with me, and I must say it was a beautiful experience, and I must do it more often before the weather starts to turn too cold. Even wrap up in winter maybe, and I must resume that practice. It's very edifying and ennobling. Might be why I'm a little bit emanating today, actually. Tree spirits, powerful, very powerful, noble, loving and protective. Penry was overjoyed and took his recovered wife in his arms. He thanked the old man for his help. The man said, "Now keep a watchful eye on your wife, because the demon will not be fooled another time. As a reward for your loyalty, you may keep the golden horse, and for your wife, I will give you a silver horse." I like that. Thus Penry and his wife rode off, he on the golden horse, and she on the silver horse. Gold represents the sun and masculine energy. Not always. The sun can sometimes be feminine energy too, but depending on the culture and the stories. But usually it's masculine energy, so that the husband rode on the golden horse and the wife rode on the silver one, which represents the moon and feminine energy. Story from the people of the Ainu, Japan. Right, we're 1 hour and 33 minutes, so let me just see. Right, one more story before the next chapter, and then we'll quit while I'm ahead, people of Earth. Don't want to get too exhausted. The King Vulture's daughter. In ancient times, the King of Vultures used to go to a certain lake to bathe. There they would take off their feather gowns, and when they had done so, they transformed into young girls. A man who was getting on in his years saw them and thought, how nice it would be to snatch one of those girls to have as a female companion. Dirty old man. So he built himself a hut from green twigs at the lakeside and waited there for the vulture girls. They arrived swiftly, landed on the shore and took off their feather gowns. One laid her feather gown pretty close to the hut. Quickly the man came out and grabbed the feather gown. Frightened, the girls ran off to their clothes, put them on and hastily flew away, except the girl whose gown the man had taken away was left behind. She begged him to return her clothes because she wanted to fly away with her companions. But the man did not want to return the feather gown. He looked at her and she looked at him. They felt attracted to each other. He took her with him to his home, and she became his wife. He gave her human clothing and kept the feather gown in a basket. They had a good life together, and soon they had a son. The vulture girl became homesick and missed her old father, the king vulture. One day he proposed to her husband to go visit her father. "Your father lives up there in the heavens, in the upper world, and I cannot fly, so how would I get there?" said the man. But the woman was never at a loss. She gathered leaves and bound them around the arms of her son and her man. Then she held her own feather gown like a big handheld fan, waved it over both men, and immediately the leaves changed into feathers. "Now try to fly," she said. The son managed very well. He flew effortlessly to the top of a near tree. The man, however, fell down as soon as he tried to lift off. "I will help you fly," his wife comforted him. When the man was able to rise at least a few yards above ground, the wife flew close behind him, so she could always catch him when he was about to fall. When they arrived in heaven, the son was already waiting there for them, but the man was completely exhausted. They entered heaven. There, all vultures have taken off their feather gowns and live in human form. Actually, things there are just like things here on earth. The family went its way through the heavens to the old King Vulture's house. They passed by the house of the sun, S-U-N, who was wearing a luminous crown on his head. Then they passed the house of the moon, who had a very bald skull. When they passed the house of the wind, they knew he was not at home, because they heard him howl and roar in the distance. At last they arrived at the King Vulture's home. Because the woman was not sure her father would welcome them, she left her husband behind and went only with her son to the house. The father was very happy to see his daughter again. He asked where the father of the boy was, and the woman told him the whole story. The father was very angry about the man's behaviour, but called him inside and gave the family lodging. But secretly he thought of assassinating his son-in-law. The next day, using his daughter as messenger, the King Vulture ordered the man to construct a big canoe to be ready the very same day. The man did not know the first thing about building boats, but he went sadly into the woods to cut himself a tree for the canoe. He did not remain alone or sad for long, because the king of the woodpeckers pitied him, assembled his woodpecker people, and in no time the tree was cut and the canoe hollowed out. When the evening came, the man told his wife the boat was ready. The wife told her dad, who angrily concocted another chore for the son-in-law in order to be able to kill him. The next morning he ordered him to dam the river, bail out all the water, and bring him the alligators, which were his favourite food. I know you can eat crocodile. You wouldn't want to. It's not kosher. But you can eat it. So I'm assuming you can eat alligators too. I don't think it's kosher either. Not that I'm, observant or anything, but there's certain foods that I won't eat. Not just because they're not kosher, but the creep factor, you understand. Can apply that philosophy to how I feel about sex. Man creeps me out, doesn't get to stay in my company for very long. Well, there is a history, darlings. There's a reason why I am the way I am. I've made no apologies for it in the slightest. When the king of the dragonflies saw how the man was trying to scoop out the water from the dammed river with a piece of bark, he promised to help him. Soon, a big swarm of dragonflies had reclaimed the riverbed. They had thrown out the water with their thousands of little feet. The man did not kill the alligators, but instead he caught many fish which he carried in baskets into the woods. The old father now found, instead of alligators, a heap of stinking fish. So he returned furiously to his daughter. He called her names and accused her of not relaying his order to her husband correctly. In order to be not too hard on her, in order to not be too hard on her old father, and to spare her man from the old one's anger, she advised her husband to construct a new dam, and this time to really catch the alligators. Sadly, the man went back to the river and built another dam. Once again, the king of the dragonflies appeared with his numerous subjects and helped him. So the old king found a big heap of dead alligators in the woods that night. Once more, he brooded on a way to be able to kill his son-in-law under the pretext of an accident. But the daughter foresaw what her father intended to do, and because she had become fond of her husband, she feared for his life. The old one designated a large piece of land that he ordered the son-in-law to fell by night time, or else he would have him killed. The man instantly went to work. Sadly, he sharpened his axe, went into the woods, and felled some trees. But soon he realized he could never accomplish this task. Disheartened and despairing, he sat down on a tree stump. There he saw the king of the woodpeckers and told him about his distress. The king promised to help him one more time. Hundreds of woodpeckers appeared, and soon the underbrush had been cut and most of the big trees had been logged. by woodpeckers. Astonishing. Suddenly the falcon, who stood guard, called out a warning signal. The old one had come into the woods. Quickly the woodpeckers hid behind the trees. The old man was very pleased with the progress of the work and promised the son-in-law, "Now I will not kill you." When night fell, the woodpeckers had finished the job and all returned home. The weather's on the turn, the sunshine's gone away and we're about to get rain soon. It's one of those moody days and you never know what you're going to get. Say lovely babies. I know what I'm going to get. I'm going to get a dill pickle flavoured chocolate eclair. Need some more sweetness in my life. Dear goodness. I wonder how I could have got rid of that aroma. I washed it and it was clean. Odd, isn't it? What can I put in the jar to get rid of that stench? It's ruined my chocolate eclair experience for me. Oh, poor Mama T. What are we going to do now? Small smile. It's like taking a lover who lets you down and is a bitter disappointment. Smells like dill pickle instead of hot sex and delight and magic and wellness and passion, romance and stamina. Winding you up. Can you tell I'm winding you up? I'm winding myself up while we're at it. It's the wind up that keeps winding up, spinning in infinity, and the angels sit back and fold their arms and laugh and say, "Hallelujah, Mama T. Don't worry, be happy, Mama T." Anyway. Where were we? I've got some screen that's popped up and I don't dare click on it because it might lock us off and I can see we're still filming, but it's very distracting. My bloody laptop. I wish that gin would just go back to its original source and get the fuck out of my laptop. Honestly, it drives me mad. Dill pickled chocolate eclairs. Suddenly the falcon, who stood I'm laughing because all I could think of was that, Peter Pecker pecked a peck of pickled peppers, and how many pickled peppers would Peter Pecker have picked, or something along those lines. I was never very good at those kind of things. Can you tell? Suddenly the falcon, who stood guard. No peckers were hurt in the creation of this video, just saying. Called out a warning signal. The old one had come into the woods. Quickly the woodpeckers hid behind the trees. The old man, was very pleased with the progress of the work and promised the son-in-law, "Now I will not kill you." When night fell, the woodpeckers had finished the job and all returned home. Did I read that before? I have deja vu. I need to dance, recalibrate my mind, body and spirit. I need to turn this back on too. After some time, what if I just, no, I don't dare touch anything, we will just flip us off. After some time, when the cut wood was dry, the king vulture ordered his son-in-law to make a fire in the area he had forested. He came along himself to set fire to the wood at the edge of the stake and ordered the man to check if the stake was burning all right on the inside. The man obeyed, and when he had gone a few yards and looked around, he saw with terror that he was completely surrounded by the flames. Now he realized that the king vulture wanted to kill him in the fire and that he would die soon. He sat down in the last patch of grass that was not yet burning and cried bitterly. A spider who came out of her hole in the earth heard this and asked him why he was crying. Then he told her about his malicious father-in-law. The spider asked him to come into her hole underground until the fire was over. She changed the man into a spider, and together they waited until the fire was out. When the king vulture came home without the son-in-law, the daughter knew that her father had killed her husband. The next day the old one went to where the fire had been to look for the man's corpse. Weeping, his daughter followed him with her son. That horrible screen just flipped itself off by itself, but we're still filming. Excellent. See, it makes no sense what my computer does. It just does all this by itself without me touching anything. It's odd, isn't it? So I'm not lying when I say there's a genie in my machine. Well, success means Mama T has to forge ahead rather intrepidly, even with very incoherent, incongruent equipment. Dear Goddess, one day the multiverse will bless me with so much money. I can easily afford a brand new laptop under my own auspices without relying on the generosity and charity of my beautiful, wonderful earth angels, because, you know, they've been very, very generous to me for decades, but I wish to be financially independent and prosperous in my own, in my own right. Well, and that may never happen, but on the other hand, something to manifest, isn't it? Like my true loving partnership. Dreams are free, people of Earth. The psychedelic dream until the day I die. I wonder what kind of life I will have in the next dimension, in the afterlife. There won't be any genies in laptops because I don't think they use laptops in the upper world. Everything's done by telepathy and energy, and no need for this fickle fingering of fate. Just saying. Just finishing off my lolly, don't mind me. I've got to the part where it's chocolate and caramel again, and I've got rid of the dill pickle sensation. The old man looked everywhere for the corpse. Sorry, I'm just laughing. But he did not find it. Instead, he saw, in the middle of the burnt land, the son-in-law standing on a tree stump, completely unharmed. Outraged, the old one returned home. The woman was so happy that her husband was still alive, and both decided to immediately leave the old one's house. The old one was very wrathful when he noticed that his daughter, her husband, and son were on their way back to earth. He sent his warriors, the black vultures, after them. The black vultures reached the small family just when they were descending to earth. But the woman had already suspected that her father would send his warriors after them, and out of precaution had brought a long knife with her. With it, she successfully chased off the old one's warriors. Now nobody could prevent them from returning to earth through the hole in the sky. The sun readily floated back to earth, but the man was very afraid of falling. So the woman again flew right behind him so she could support him if he should fall. Tired and out of breath, the man returned to earth and remained sitting under a tree for a long time, as exhausted as he was. Never again did the woman and the man have the desire to visit the king vulture in the upper world. A popular tradition from the Amazon, Brazil. Right, we'll finish there, people of Earth. We're up to chapter 4, so we'll read that probably tomorrow, possibly later today if I get lonely or bored, or I don't know, if the muse overcomes me. Chapter 4 is very, very short, so there is that. So we were still reading chapter 3, so what am I going to title this? I don't know. I'll just title it More of Chapter 3. Anyway, it's been a journey. I smoked a cigar. I've had weird flavoured chocolate eclairs. I've had grapes. I've told you heartfelt stories about my own love processes that go nowhere because unavailability and lack of direct communication and little games people play and nonsense, absurdities, and anyway, it is what it is. But I know I'm loved platonically and quite powerfully at times, so to you, my beloved ones, the Tanya, the shaman, the psychedelic dreamer, the witch on the hill, alone, sitting here on her perch, looking out into the suburban morass of Holland Park, sends you blessing and peace and the power of our own gods, of our own understanding according to our culture and background and heartfelt desires. and the ancestors that love us, and walk with your God's beloved ones. Walk, dance, be in communion with your gods. And I'm going to go and have a rest now, maybe watch some TV, a nice movie or a TV show of some kind. I was watching something last night, but it was very violent and horrible, and I don't want to live in that energy. It's not good for my mind, body or spirit. It's toxic as fuck. But anyway, I continued to watch it even though I wasn't really getting enjoyment out of it per se. Got one episode to go and then that's finished. I guess I'll finish it off. Then I'll look for something loving and inspiring and sweet and life enhancing to look at, because I need that in my life. Sweetness and beauty and joy and comfort and ease and real loves. It's quite funny, I'm looking out here and there's all these grey, stormy looking clouds. But then there's this cloud and it's backlit by sunshine. Let me try and show you before I sign off completely. Don't know if you'll be able to see it. Oh, where is it? Right. Can you see it? No. We blipped off. Did we blip off? Anyway, it's there. It's just this radiant, emanating marshmallow cloud that is sexy as fuck, people of Earth. Just showing me all is not lost, psychedelic dreamer. Even in the storms of life, light up from within and be luminous and beautiful and wise and sweet and noble. Bye for now, people of Earth. Have a beautiful day wherever you are in the space-time continuum and be blessed.